What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for watching and supporting. Got a great video for you guys today, an update from Lin Wood. Got a few things from him I want to talk about today. Before we jump into that, I wanted to let you guys know we have a new channel and the link is in the comments. And you definitely want to subscribe to this one. Along with our normal videos that are uploaded, you're also going to get clips from the Senate, the House, the White House, all kinds of different stuff as it's going on. A lot of people don't realize that a lot of these hearings and things of that sort are going on all the time. So we're going to be posting clips for those so that you can catch all the latest news along with our regular content. So make sure you go check it out and subscribe. Details for that are in the description below. Okay, Lin Wood. So this is this first part is a little intense, but it's powerful. It really is. This is right from Lin. I received a call this afternoon to remind me of my annual dental appointment, scheduled later this week with my dentist and friend, Jeffrey Baumrind. When I told the office to tell Jeff I was looking forward to seeing him, I was told that Jeff was dead, having committed suicide last year on July 18th, 2020. I had seen him 9 days earlier on July 9th. I had no idea that I would never see him on this earth again. I was devastated by the news of his death. I was not informed last year. They had the wrong email address on file. Jeff had been my dentist since 1983. His first office was in the Carnegie building, the same building where my first law office was established. He later moved to the Equitable building, which was the building where my law practice had moved when I left the Carnegie building. I was told Jeff came to the office on July 18th last year and jumped to his death from the parking garage. I have more to say about Jeff if you will bear with me. Dr. Baumrind was an avid and excellent golfer. He loved his children and he was always singing while he was working on my teeth. He was good to his employees and always made me feel awkward when he would tell them what a famous lawyer I was. Jeff was a consummate professional. He always cared for his patients and always asked about their personal lives. His office told me that, hidden from the view of others, Jeff was suffering depression from the disruption of his office and his ability to care for his patients, as he had done for over 40 years. Jeff was born in 1951, a year earlier than me. After I learned of his death today, I reflected back on when I last visited with him 9 days before his death. He seemed like himself, singing, joking, and doing his work with his usual cheerful attitude. He asked about my March visit to the White House to meet then President Trump. I told him I found the president to be a friendly, gracious man who cared deeply for America. Jeff and I rarely talked politics. He was Jewish, but I had mentioned my faith to him. He always said we needed to play golf together, but we never did. Jeff was a scratch golfer. I have always been a 90 to 100 hack who loved the game because of the scenery and companionship of those with whom I played. I'm competitive, but never made the mistake of playing golf for my score or my swing. Jeff won several club championships at the Standard Club in Atlanta. Jeff and I were different, but always more alike than different. I will miss Jeff and will likely think about him every time I brush or floss my teeth. He was my friend and doctor for 37 years. Pandemic has dramatically changed our world, our country, and our daily lives. Got to be careful in this next part. Those who are responsible for this must pay a heavy price. The enemy has shattered our American way of life, destroyed many of our freedoms, and cost us the love and companionship of friends and family. How many more Jeffs are among us, hiding their pain from others until the pain and despair becomes too overwhelming to them? We must remember to be good to each other, dismiss the differences among friends and family, and focus on the similarities. We are all in this world together. This is something that I've said a lot to a lot of friends and family members in the last probably 2 years more than anything, is like, to me, the concept of America is we should be able to agree to disagree and go grab a beer together, and that should be okay. We should be able to have different opinions, and that shouldn't stop us from wanting to hang out or be friends. You know, the reality is now everyone's opinions are so egregious due to current circumstances that people feel like you have to divide, and it's sad. It's really sad that we're like that, but that's just how humans are. We must remember to be good to each other, dismiss the differences among friends and family, and focus on the similarities that we are all in this world together. We must fight for each other and the love of freedom that we share with each other and our country. I will keep fighting. I will now fight a little extra hard for Jeff. We are fighting for our humanity. Thanks for letting me share with you my story about Dr. Jeff Baumrind. I hope my words honor his life and memory. I hope my story helps open our eyes and the eyes of our friends and family. We must all realize that life on earth is both precious and fragile. We must live in this world with an eye always on eternity. We have no guarantee of tomorrow, so we fight as best as we imperfectly can, one day at a time. I pray each of you will strengthen your faith in God. P.S. I pray that one day Jeff and I will play that long-discussed round of golf together in heaven. It will be a perfect round. God bless each of you. And, you know, what's sad about this is, like Lin said earlier in these statements, is how many people, you know, are walking around with that mask on. And there's a lot of pain there. There's a lot of suffering. Even if it's directly or indirectly impacted by, you know, what's happened over the last 2 years, that to me isn't as relevant as because people are always living that way. You know, they're always living with, you know, a mask on. Not everyone, but a lot of people are, you know, and so there's always those people out there. And on top of it, then you coop everyone up. You know, suicide rates are up, depression's up, opiate abuse rates up, depression and suicidal thoughts amongst kids as young as 5 years old, way up. If that doesn't chill you to the bone, it should. I've never in my life met a suicidal 5-year-old, you know, like every 5-year-old I've ever met, I feel like is just excited to be a little kid, you know. It's just horrendous. And these are the effects it's having on people. Because there's just this core idea, I mean, all science, this, that, out of the way, because both sides claim they have science for what they believe, right? Now, I can't go there. I just can't go there. I'll get a strike on the channel. I know, hope you guys know I want to so badly, but my point being that both sides say it, you know, everybody says oh, the science backs, you know, this belief, the science backs this belief. And the problem is there's doctors on both sides that'll be like, oh, well, this is what the science says. And it's like, you don't know who you can trust anymore. You know, that's kind of the real story there, is you just don't know who you can trust anymore. But this is the sickening issue, is that all science aside, we've got to just go back to normality as a human being. What does it mean to be human? It means you're getting outside. It means you're hanging out with those you love. It means you're getting to work your career, hopefully, ideally, something you love to do. And you actively do these things because your family's really important. Your identity and who you are is extremely important. And so when you start losing sight of these things because you're forced to sit on a couch all day, you know, yeah, you're going to get depressed. I mean, we've all probably lived through some mild level of depression in the last 2 years. I mean, or a lot longer, but I think we've all experienced we'll call it lockdown depression, you know, where it's you just start missing people, you start missing interaction. I've lived alone for 2 years now, and not having any roommates, man, that starts to, I feel it, you know, I get lonely and I miss people. Granted, I never really followed the rules anyways, but I did feel the effects even on a mild level, you know. And so people that really followed some of that and just quite literally didn't leave or see people, it's it's sad, because you know there's levels of depression there, you know there's levels of loneliness. So I thought it was a really good thing to share, because sometimes we just really get so caught up in all this right, left, this, politics, that, and sometimes I hate it. If I'm being honest, most of the time I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Because what I see is a bunch of people in suits that all go to Washington and never make any real change. What I see is a bunch of people that go up there and pretend to love humans, but really they love power. What I see is a bunch of people that argue about the same BS each 4 to 8 years. Each 4 to 8 years, you know, the Republicans are pretty racist, and each 4 to 8 years, the Democrats are still radical liberals. And it's everyone, it's been the same argument every term. I feel like I've never really seen real progression. I feel like when you look throughout history, I mean, obviously we see progression from the advancement of technology, and just society in general. But politically, it's the same noise every 4 to 8 years. It's just reversed. For 4 to 8 years, Democrats think the Republicans are effing up the country, and for 4 to 8 years, Republicans think the I don't know which one I said, but I think you get what I'm saying. Democrats will blame Republicans for everything that's going on if there's a Republican president. Republicans will blame Democrats if there's a Democrat president. Now, in fairness, like, hear me out. I mean, you've listened to a lot of my videos at this point. I go off on Biden. I go off on a lot of people on the left. There's a lot of things that I think are just simply moronic, but I'm more saying that just the gist of it is we lose our humanity to a bunch of people in suits in Washington making decisions for us, and they argue and moan about the same things every 4 to 8 years. So it's like sometimes I get so sick of it, and I'm like, I wish we could just say whatever to what these people do. Seems like who we vote for doesn't matter anyways. And so I wish we could just be like, screw this. You're a human, I'm a human. You voted for him, I voted for him. But whatever, let's just not talk about that. What do you like? Do you like sports? Great, let's talk about sports. What else are you into? Why can't we just find these commonalities? Because the reality is people are jacked up, man. And those people on the left that you so claim to hate were so brainwashed, more than likely, with how they were raised, that they don't know how to think differently. And from their point of view, we're all just as evil and effed up as we might think they are. And they're probably sitting there thinking oh, well, they're just brainwashed from their Republican parents. They don't know how to think differently. And obviously we'd all have arguments there. That's not at all what I'm making this video about. What I'm making it about is that politics has just utterly destroyed this country. And it's not even about a side to me anymore as much as it's the whole system. It's just screwed up the country, man. And what I hate now is there's so many people that won't be friends with me because of what I believe. And I don't blame them for that. That's that's regurgitated Don Lemon and Cuomo. It's regurgitated CNN facts, because I've seen videos where both those guys have talked about how they can't really hang out with Republicans anymore. Because we're all jacked up and racist, and it's I hate that, man. I hate that. And then I've heard Republicans say it too. That's the thing. That's why I say it's I don't see any outside of the actual politicians and just the people. It's we all say the same things about each other. And it really bothers me. And it's gotten to a point where I've really grown to hate this, because the honest truth is I feel like both sides create division. A lot of Republicans love touting Antifa and BLM at every left turn they can, and what that does is it stirs up a bunch of anger and hate. A lot of you guys, if you've been on the channel for a while, you probably remember my story about when I went to the America First rally, and I was so bothered because they were talking about how all these Antifa were outside causing trouble and da-da-da-da, and so my buddy and I leave, and we're ready to get in a fight, man. I'm walking out, my heart's beating, my adrenaline's rushing, in my head I'm just going, just get to your car, you don't want any trouble, but yeah, I might throw some hands if it comes down to it. And then I get out there and there's no one out there. And in my head I was now this just feels like you guys stirred up a bunch of, angry thoughts. And like I said, no side is innocent of it. But I want to challenge you guys, because it's been a challenge for myself, is to make more of an effort to just be a human being again. And not a Republican, not a patriot, but a human being. And when I talk to these people, and what I've been doing with friends that can't shut up about it, I'll just be hey, you know damn well that you and I disagree. Do we gotta talk about this? Because I know a lot of other things we enjoy. Let's talk about those things. I just sometimes I just think no one actually cares about actually making real change. I think they like the political theater. I think they like the arguments. I think they like the noise and the hoopla, and it's but at the end of the day, it's we're all just human beings. You can't stir up that much hate in your heart for a human being. You just can't. It leads to a really, really dangerous place. And so I read this and I was thinking about this even more, because I was loving how he was saying, we never really talked about politics. We talked about golf. We talked about my teeth. We talked about other things, human beings having normal conversations. I really feel like the ploy is to get so many people worked up and riled up and hating each other, and I'm telling you, the biggest way you combat that is combating it with love. And I'm very guilty of not doing that a lot of times. I hope you guys know I'm preaching to the choir. Something that's been on my heart for me. That's like a lot of why I'm sharing it, is like, I've gotten so hateful of people on the left at times, and that's not really who I am at my core. And I don't like being known for that. You know, I don't want to ever be known for that. And I feel like I fell into the trap of the system of like getting to a place where I'm hating my fellow brothers and sisters in the world for what they stand for, rather than like understanding we're all opinionated, we're all going to see things very different. And I agree, there's a lot of things going on politically where it really feels like there's only one way to see it. And that's even tougher. But you just got to be patient. You got to be the better person. You got to be the example. So, yeah, that was, a lot of that was just honestly heavy on my heart to share. I want to see real change. You know, I want to see real change in my lifetime. I want to be a part of it or start it in whatever way that looks like. Very lofty goal, sure. But it's like I said, I feel like all I've ever witnessed is a bunch of people that just basically hate the other side, hate everything they're about, and nothing comes from that, you know? And I know like what so many of you are probably thinking is like, well, how can you say this when there's Nancy Pelosi's? How can you say this when there's Kamala Harris's? Like, that do some really radical things. Like, obviously, like Hillary Clinton, I think, is just a vile witch, you know? So like, I'm not like saying like, oh, we all need to go love on Hillary Clinton. Like, no, that would kind of screw her, you know? But like, more of what I'm saying is these politicians and these people in the White House and everywhere else aside, human being to human being, your average interaction on the street, do your best to be the better person. Because that is something no one's trying to do right now. No one's trying to be good. No one's trying to like love someone else. Everyone's looking at this as like, we've got to win a battle. And it is really one. But I don't know. Like, at what cost? You know, I don't want to win a battle and it's hating people on the way there. Might not be realistic. Maybe I'm crazy. But I just feel like we're all falling into the trap of what these global elitists want. A civil war. I mean, to me, it's that blatantly obvious that that's what they've been pushing for. And it's tough, but it's like, you just got to be the better person. You can't fall into that narrative. You just can't. So, yeah, I'm going to cut this video off. This ended up being a lot longer than I anticipated. I don't know, guys. That was honestly just really heavy on my heart to share. I know this wasn't a super political video, but I read that from Lin Wood and I was just really touched by it. And I was just like, you know, this is the type of message that actually creates change. This is the type of message that actually sets a butterfly effect. If there's anything I believe, it's that this country getting fixed will not happen from politics. It will not happen from politicians. It will not happen from a president. I used to believe it would. Then I watched the last 4 years and I thought there's no way, because there's a man that did everything he humanly could. And in almost every way, I thought he did all the right things, minus endorsing McConnell's and people like that. But like, in every way, I thought Trump did all the right things. I thought he put his life on the line, which he did. I thought he risked every inch of skin in the game he's got. I felt like he risked his family and put it all on the line, and it wasn't enough. And what I took from that was that one man won't change the world, but a group of people that are committed to just being the light and being the example, they will. So that's my goal. And I'll fail a lot. I'll probably have a video next week where I am absolutely piping off about something on the left. And all I can do is try to be better each day. And that's all we can all do, is try and control what we can control each day. Because the reality is we're not controlling any of that mess that goes on in Washington. And honestly, at this point, if you still think you do, I kind of think you're foolish. So if we can't control that, what can we control? We can control our daily lives, how we work, how we live our lives to the most part, but we can control how we treat people. We can control how we love people. We can be the better example. Make that your goal. I really believe that's how we change things. So anyways, again, rambling too long. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Amazing stuff from Lin Wood. Don't take your relationships for granted. People, unfortunately, I feel like are dropping like flies in today's day and age. It's like you never know when you're going to lose someone. Cherish your relationships with your friends, your family. But yeah, anyways, check out those links in the description as well. Stay safe out there, guys, and I will talk to you soon.